Right, I don't think I started how I was supposed to. I think I spoke before I was live. So, shalom, shalom. This is your Yao checking in. I just wanted to come in and say a couple things about some of the things that we're seeing out in the media right now. I just wanted to shine a little bit of a light on a situation that will probably emerge in the future, right? So, what I want to talk about is why are they making movies directed at Hebrew Israelites? And so, I believe the title of this video is why are they making Hebrew Israelite movies? And I guess maybe that's not all the way what I'm talking about here. What I mean to say is why are they making movies directed at Hebrew Israelites? So if you've been following the channel for a little while, and I know I haven't been posting as much, I just figured out how to delete, the excess videos off of my phone. So I've got a bunch of storage now. But since I started going live, when I didn't have storage, I figured, okay, well, might as well just go live to, I don't know, just go live. Being able to, discuss and expound on a topic on video is one thing, but to be able to do it live is a whole other thing. And this is something that I would like to eventually do on a regular basis. So might as well get started. So the concept that we're looking at here is that there have been two movies that come out recently which we can definitively say are aimed at not just black people, not just religious black people, but Hebrew Israelites in particular, right? And so the first movie that we, discussed that is definitely aimed at Hebrew Israelites is the movie Leave the World Behind with Julia Roberts and I can't remember who else is in it. Kevin Bacon is in it, and then the other guys are in it, right? And so this movie, of course, has a lot of white stars, not so many black stars, but the concepts dealt with in the movie, like the end of the world, the fall of Babylon. What people are you going to fall under when the lights go off, right? Racial, post-apocalyptic segregation, right? So the whole thing is really an homage to the Hebrew Israelite personality. If you'll watch if you have been following the channel, you may have watched the analysis of Leave the World Behind that I did a couple weeks ago. If you haven't, go check it out. I believe it's the correct analysis, and the analysis that we did was that the movie was a character study of the Hebrew Israelite male coming into the knowledge that he's an Israelite right at the end of the world when all of when that matters. I mean, it matters at any time, but it definitely matters then. So we know from the hallmarks that are embedded within the movie Leave the World Behind, like the oil liner that is called the White Lion. The White Lion is a slave ship. The radio dial being on 1619 being the year that they've designated to say the first slaves arrived on the coast of Babylon, the United States. And then a lot of other things too. If you've seen the movie, then you've probably seen all of the interpretations of the movie. But there lies a question in the middle of it. If you recognize that this particular group is being targeted with this movie, specifically because of the hallmarks that any Israelite would be triggered by, then you have to wonder why, Barack Obama is making this movie, because we know, the people that have been paying attention, that the Leave the World Behind movie was produced by a studio that Barack and Michelle Obama own, right? So, so that's what you guys have to recognize. leave the world behind is quite literally government propaganda, right? If you've got Barack and Michelle Obama as the producers of the movie, the funders of the movie, the, you know, the people that are in control, pulling the strings behind the movie, which we can see that is the case. And if you can see that very clearly, and they are operatives of the government, which they are, then the movie has to be a propaganda piece, right? It has to be some sort of psyop that is directed at, the Israelite community. So why? Why is it, was what people have been saying, which doesn't make sense. But I can see why people would say this, because on his face, that's what it looks like, right? So what people are saying is that, Barack and Michelle Obama are making a warning to the black community to prepare, a warning to the Israelite community to make sure that you start stocking food and start, putting together a escape plan and, having yourself prepped and ready. They're saying that it's a movie that's designed to warn Israelites and inform them to prep for the times that are to come. And now, I don't think that's not what it is, right? Because on some levels, yeah, based on the themes of the movie, it can be interpreted that way. But I do think that Michelle and Barack are not interested in Hebrew Israelites enough to want to warn us about the times that are to come, right? If they're on the other side, if they're, in the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it, what it actually is the satanic cult that runs the world. If they're in this organization, then the Israelites are their number one enemy. They're, the people that they want to not exist, right? And so you have to then understand that this group wouldn't be making movies to warn Israelites because the Israelites are their number one enemy. But if they're smart enough, they would make movies that would appear to warn Israelites. Do you see what I'm saying? And actually have a different purpose, which we discuss in the video that breaks down the movie, right? And then these character traits that the movie is based on are more of an homage to understanding the times, which is kind of what I think that the movie is, just an homage to the times that we're in, right? Not a warning or anything like that, but a clever way to show that they understand what's going on, right? And we know that they do, right? And so this is the first movie. Just wanted to see if anybody's on here. No, not yet. This is the first movie that was clearly directed at Israelites and clearly had all the markings of a psychological propaganda piece directed at, a particular group of people, even though it's a, mainstream published, it's definitely a propaganda piece for Israelites. So that's the first one. The second one is even crazier, right? The second one is even crazier. And a lot of people have had reactions to this movie too. A lot of Israelites have had reactions to this movie. But it's in the theaters now. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to do any reaction. And I'm just going to do a bit of cursory interpretation. But really for this one, all you need is the cursory interpretation, because it's very clear what's going on in it, right? It's just the question is why still. In a very similar way to the first movie, to the Leave the World Behind movie, the question is why are they doing this, right? So the movie that I'm talking about, of course, you guys, is called The Book of Clarence. And it stars the guy that was in Judas and the Black Messiah, right? And so even that movie, Judas and the Black Messiah, is kind of a reveal of, the plot, because we know the FBI's number one goal, stated number one goal, classified document goal, like it's a bullet point, right? As under goals, FBI goals. Bullet point number one, number two, or number three, prevent the rise of a black messiah. That's the FBI's goal, to prevent the rise of a black messiah, which means they've read the book of Judges, which means they've read the book of Judith, right? Which means that they've read the book of Numbers, right? So all of these books outline on how that Israel will, unless acted upon, conquer the world around it, because they are the group of people that Elohim chose, right? They'll conquer anywhere, destroy any army, because Elohim will be on their side if they're righteous. If they can be fooled into wickedness, then the Israelite people will fall into sin and be the weakest nation on the planet, right? The most oppressed nation on the planet. And of course, that's what we see. But we're talking about the book of Clarence here. And and I forgot exactly where I was at, but we can just pick up. The Book of Clarence is a movie, and this is just what I've seen from advertisements, but it's a movie that is about the Hebrew Israelites, right? It appears, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it appears that the video is portraying the Israelites as black in the first century and living in Jerusalem at the time of the Messiah, and the Messiah being black, and the entire world being ruled over by white-skinned Romans, which is exactly the nature of the first century. So they, from what it appears, because I haven't watched the movie, I can't 100% say that these are Israelites in the movie. But from the previews that I've seen, they, of course, they used a false name, Jesus. We know his name is Yahusha. But from the previews that I've seen, you know, this particular person who is like a flim-flam artist is pretending to be who they are calling Jesus, right? And because he's pretending to be this person, it also means, I mean, not because, it's since he's, no. He lives in the time of quote unquote Jesus and is imitating Jesus. That's who the movie is all about. This person that's imitating, you know, Jesus, and has run into him and has encounters with them. And then even in the previews, it appears that the Messiah that they're showing is black, right? And so what you have in this movie is an entire black world, an entire black Jerusalem, exactly how it actually was in history. And this is a hallmark moment in all of history, because nowhere will you find black people being portrayed as the ancient Jews of the Bible anywhere on earth. That movie doesn't exist. I will take that back. There's this one African movie that's in French that has all of the figures of the Bible as black folks, right? It's a movie that I'm sure nobody's ever heard of, but it's the Book of Genesis. And we watched it way back when. It's all in French, but it has Jacob, Esau, and everybody, and they're all in the form of an African tribe, very close to what it would have actually been like, right? And so, with that being said, the only other depiction of Hebraic people as being black is this unknown French movie from French Africa. And then here now in 2024, we have a major motion picture which just really illustrates the entire concept for you in perfect fashion, right? You know, and I guess not in perfect fashion because I haven't seen the movie, I don't know what the depictions are, but just from a glance, it appears that they're portraying Israelites as they should. And this is the kicker. It's Jay-Z behind this movie. It's Jay-Z, who is also in the same clique, satanic cult that the rest of these A-list celebrities are in, right? Barack Obama is going to be in the same cult that Jay-Z's in. Jay-Z is going to be in the same cult that Taylor Swift is in. Taylor Swift is going to be in the same cult as Donald Trump is in, because these are the high-level players. This is the satanic cult that, runs America. All of these figures are connected. They're all doing the same tasks or different, aspects of the same task. And the commonality they have is that they're all worshiping, the fallen one, right? And we know that. We know that from the symbology. We know that from history. We know it from, seeing the way that these people move and act, and the signs that they throw up with their hands, and the songs that they make, which are secretly, devil worshiping songs. And in the president, by, of course, the moves that he makes on a worldwide scale, and his allegiances on a political and sub-political level, right? We know these things. We know that the cult exists. We see how it operates. We see the effect of it in society. So why then, if we know that Jay-Z is a part of this devil-worshipping cult, why then is he making a movie which describes in details the very thing that they've been trying for 400 years to keep hidden, right? Why would they do that? Why would they allow Jay-Z to do that, right? What would be the purpose of the reveal? And that's where we've been scratching our heads. What in the world would be the purpose of them revealing the play? Revealing that they themselves aren't the actual Jews, that because remember, the Jews run Hollywood, so they have to give the okay for any movie to go out. That's what I'm saying. These are the people that are behind Leave the World Behind, the Ashkenazi Jews, because they run Hollywood. These are the people that are behind Book of Clarence, the Ashkenazi Jews, because they run Hollywood. These are the people behind Judas and the Black Messiah, the Ashkenazi Jews, right? So they're the ones that are putting these concepts out. Why are they doing it? We understand that they're using all of these, black figures to do it, but why are they doing it? If they fought so hard and so long to insert themselves into our history, why ruin the whole thing with a movie that just outs all the truth and then make Jay-Z the director so everybody will go and watch it? Why do that, right? Why are you the secret villain that says, haha, this is my plan? Do you see what I'm saying? That, how the villains do in, the old superhero shows where they say, oh, so you want to know my secret plan? This is what I have planned, and now you'll never stop me, right? Is that the style of supervillain that we're dealing with, that is going to just on the cusp of fulfilling their evil plan, reveal their evil plan? It makes no sense, right? These guys have been smarter than to let the plan just go in a straight movie. They're smarter than that. So what we've got to look at is why. Why would they do this, right? And so, as we are discussing these things, me and my wife comes up with the answer. And just really matter-of-factly, because it can't be anything but this answer. This is the reason why they've been making movies aimed at Hebrew Israelites that could make more Hebrew Israelites, right? Because you put this movie Book of Clarence out, and let's just say you make all of these falsehoods in the movie, but you put out the imagery of Black Messiah, the imagery of Black Jerusalem that we've never seen before as a people, like that the country has never seen, that the world has never seen before, right? In this picture, right? In this framework. They've never seen it. As a kid, I would have never related the two cultures, Jewish and African American. I would have never, ever, ever, ever. When I thought Jewish, I thought old man with a black hat and a little curly cues, right? And I'd never even seen that in real life. In New York, when we went to New York a couple years ago, we seen a whole community of Jewish folks, and they all had the little curly cues. Not one time ever did I see that growing up, right? Growing up in the South, I never did see that, not once, right? And so those two cultures, in my mind, were the two furthest apart that they could ever be. But little do I know, it's the same culture, and not just the same culture, the culture that has been stolen from, from me and my family since before I knew that I had a culture, since before I, was even thought of being conceived, before my mother and father, grandmother, grandfather were thought of being conceived, right? And so, again, why would the Jews give this advantage up? There has to be a reason, because not only are you going to piss people off, not only are you going to piss people off that don't believe that this is how the Israelites look, even though the Bible says that this is how we look, but the nation, Babylon, America at large, is majority white, majority not black. So most people are gonna be offended at these ideas, right? Most people are not going to appreciate, even reading the comments of people that have gone to the movie and have seen white folks in the theater, seen white folks get up and walk out, right? Why are you gonna go to a movie that you're gonna get up and walk out of? Didn't you know you're gonna be mad at this movie before you watched it? If you don't have any understanding of the Messiah being black, why would you go watch a movie like this? Maybe because you're a Jay-Z fan or whatever. But to see these images is going to piss white people off, really piss them off. But not only that, they could wake black people up. You could have a mass awakening just from one movie, right? The right movie comes along, and you could really, really, really encourage people into looking into this thing and have a bigger awakening than you already have. Why would these Jews do this? Why would they create the material to wake people up when that's not what they want to do, is wake people up, right? Here's the solution. I know I've been teasing the solution. The solution is that, yes, they do want to wake people up. They do want to promote the concept of Hebrew Israelite. Why? Because they've already put in the public consciousness that anybody who questions anything about the validity of Jewish history is called an anti-Semite. And they are right now dropping bombs indiscriminately on a quote-unquote nation of anti-Semites, the Gazans, right? They've already labeled this group of people as anti-Semitic, and now they are bombing them, right? What this means is that and this is a convoluted concept. I keep looking to see if anybody's up there. Nobody's in here. This is a convoluted concept. So you guys got to really understand that it can't really be any other way. It doesn't make sense any other way than this. From what we're seeing, the Jews should not be trying to put out an all-black movie saying that they're not the Jews, saying that black folks are the Jews, and that white folks are really closer to the Romans. They shouldn't be doing that, because that gives up their whole play. Unless they're trying to radicalize the black population, right? Unless they know that the reveal, that because information is growing in the world around us, because there's access to the internet, because there's access to all of these historical facts, because people have come to this information already and are repeating it in every form or facet of life that they go to, people like me who, found this information out and hasn't shut up about it in the last 8 years, and that the information will grow and grow and grow and become common knowledge because it's true. Because now, the cat's out of the bag, there is no way to hide it. Since information is growing, people will find out. And any black person that finds out, you've got a really, really high probability that they'll believe it and begin to change their lifestyle, right? And so the people would want to know, why would the Jews want this to happen? So that you have a very well-defined enemy. Because we know, it came out a little while ago that, and I've got to plug my phone up because my phone's about to run out of batteries here. Whoa, this chair's broken, so let me not fall on live here. Okay, orientation is blocked. All right, so you have to understand there is a war coming. There is a war coming, right? And the reason why we know this is because there was a high-level Jewish stateswoman that worked in the United States, and this has been a couple weeks ago, and she let it slide that the number one, concern for the state of Israel is young black Americans, right? And this has been just prior to or just after the when this information was released. I don't know when this woman actually said these words, but what she said was that young black Americans are the number one threat to the nation of Israel. Not Gazans, not neo-Nazis, not, Ku Klux Klan, not any white supremacist organization that is, historically been terrorists to the Jews. No, black Americans who don't know nothing about no Jews at all, right? Who go to church and support Israel just because the pastor said support Israel. Don't know nothing about Israel. When I was growing up, I couldn't tell you the difference between Isaiah and Isaac, right? I couldn't. They would both start with I couldn't tell you the difference, and now I can, but what average, this day and age cares that much? None, right? Not enough for you to say that black Americans are the most dangerous threat to your existence, right? Over top of Arabs, over top of neo-Nazis, over top of Gazans, over top of Palestinians. Black young Americans, because they know that this awakening is coming, right? Because the next generation, more than likely, ladies and gentlemen, the next generation after this one that is, my children, that's one generation, but my children's children, more than likely will be completely awoke. That everybody in the entire generation will know automatically upon being born that they are Israelites. They know that this information is getting out and it will catch fire. And then once it catches fire, then if they don't control the fire before it catches fire, then they will be overtaken by the fire itself. So this is their strategy to be able to pre-label Hebrew Israelites, which will be the entire black community at some point in time in the future, as anti-Semitic, and to have a ready-made plan to attack them for it, right? This is what you are seeing, this propaganda that they're putting out that it will help people to understand that they are Israelites, is not to help them understand that they are Israelites, but to solidify the ranks of the army that is to come of quote-unquote people that are be labeled anti-Semitic. And anybody that says we're the ones and not you will be labeled a dangerous anti-Semite. And at some point in time in the future, that group will be targeted and will be targeted for extermination in the same way that the Gazans are being targeted right now. This is the reason that Hollywood is putting out Hebrew Israelite movies to actually awake people in order to categorize them as terrorists later and kill them. That's the plan. It can't be no other way. You know that these Ashkenazi Jews are 2 steps ahead because they've got the information that we don't. They stay 2 steps ahead of us. So far ahead of us that we think that they're our allies. And by their own admission, we're their number 1 enemy, right? And the community thinks that they're our allies. That's what the community thinks, right? That will be short-lived because in the future, they will attack. And it will look like what it looks like in Gaza right now, except it'll be against the Hebrew Israelite community, which at some point in time in the future will be the entire black community of America, the entire black community of people that were victims of the transatlantic slave trade. That is the play. They will control the reveal themselves in order to paint the next narrative, in order to make the, what is it called, thesis, antithesis, the Hegelian dialectic for the next generation or for the next coming generations. That dialectic will be used to start the war. That's what's going to happen. That's why they've got this propaganda that seems like it's on our side, right? Oh, they're prepping us for the fall of Babylon to get ready. No, they're not. They're just psychologically analyzing what we would do when it happens. Oh, well, they're revealing in the book of Clarence that these Jews were black and that this is the real state of history. Yes, they are, but only so that they can identify their enemies who believe it in the future. So, with that being said, you guys, this is the nature of the propaganda that's coming your way, right? It'll appear to be on your side. Right? Isn't that what we're seeing now? Don't get me wrong. I haven't seen this movie, Book of Clarence, just yet. And from what it looks like, there's all sorts of blasphemies in it, right? And I'm not in a rush to see it. I will watch it when it comes on Netflix or Prime Video or whatever. Just because they're doing this reveal of, the nature of ancient Israel doesn't mean that it's not going to be packed full of blasphemies and, wickedness and, fornication and everything else. But even the imagery of the Black Messiah, of the Black Judea, is too dangerous for them not to have a plan behind it. So you guys just pay close attention out there that you're not, caught on to this propaganda in such a way as to think people are on your side with it. All right, you guys? All right, that's all I got. And I wanted to get this one out because it was such a great, discerning, piece of information that me and my wife were talking about last night. And it was her that originally said, well, they may be trying to radicalize, the next generation, before it radicalizes itself with the information that's being, publicly put out there by Israelites on the corner, Israelites on the radio, Israelites on the internet. Maybe they're trying to beat people to the curb, wake people up in this false manner, and then use that awakening as a plan to identify, label as anti-Semitic, and then exterminate, right? Okay, you guys. Whew, that's all I got. And I'm glad I was able to get that out because that's a real one right there. That's a big one. Okay, shalom, shalom.